Hey guys, Jacke Karashae here with another video update. In fact, it is video update number 3. And if you're wondering why I did this instead of this, it's because I'm in an ASL class and I naturally do this, but it's W. 3 is actually this, and I am trying to remember that. And so I'm practicing wherever I can, including YouTube video updates. So let me say right now, thank you for being part of my education. But now, I also wanted to thank you on a more serious note for the suggestions you guys gave me in my last video about songs that change time signatures. I've checked some of them out, and I'm going to be more deeply analyzing them and listening to them really closely as I continue working on the songs that change time signatures. And let me tell you, some of those are just crazy in a good way, in a cool way. There's one song that I put on, and for the life of me, I couldn't count to it, but it was working, and I knew there was a beat, but I couldn't really figure it out just listening to it the first time, so I'm going to try and figure out the secret behind that and how they did that. So thank you. And I wanted to ask you another question. There's lots of things that I do that I don't really know if it's just me and it's a weird thing, or if it's sort of a common thing that lots of people do, and I can talk to people and say like, hey, so you do this, and they won't go, what are you talking about? No one does that. That's weird. So I wanted to ask you guys, see what your thoughts are, see if you have your own version of this. When a new album comes out that I want to buy, a lot of times I will just, most of the time, I just head over to iTunes or Amazon or another online store and I buy it digitally, put it on my iPod, have it on my computer, and listen to it and enjoy it, and it's awesome. But sometimes an album comes out that I am so excited about, or I am very awed by, that I really want to get the physical version of it, because it feels like it's a fuller experience and I have more of a connection with it if I have it in physical form. Now I have some examples, so let me show you. So let's see, first one here, where is it? There it is Anorexia Nervosa by Showbread. This is a double concept album that when I was looking at it on iTunes, read a whole bunch of reviews that said it was amazing, which it sounded amazing, but the experience was not complete without the album booklet, which has a story that goes along with the music. And so I decided to wait and buy my time and pick up a physical version, and I'm really glad that I did because it does have a story, and it's really cool that there's a story and the music and they go along together quite well. So that was very happy that I have that, and I sort of feel that it's near and dear to my heart because it's one of the few concept albums that I have and I absolutely love it. Now some other ones. More recently, I picked up May, the Everglow, which is another album that has a cool booklet thing, in that the booklet has mural images that you're supposed to look at with sound cues in the album, which I thought was really cool. And it's also just a really sweet CD, and so I waited and picked up a copy online on Amazon and was very excited about that. Some other ones here, Sufjan Stevens, The Avalanche, and if you're a Sufjan Stevens fan, you might be asking, why didn't you get Illinois, or at least The Age of Odds, or Michigan, or any of those? Why did you get The Avalanche, which Sufjan himself bills as outtakes and extras from the Illinois album? Well, I already had Illinois, Michigan, and Age of Odds digitally, and how I got really into the band was I bought those albums, and I was like, whoa! This is really cool. But also, I was in a store and I saw this, as well as Illinois, and I was always kind of curious about the album. I didn't have it, and I learned that it's actually a full disc of basically a lot of what was supposed to be a second half of Illinois. That Illinois was supposed to be a double disc concept album, but they ended up not being able to do that, and so Sufjan took a whole bunch of these songs that were all supposed to be on the second disc and put them on their own CD. What that means is there are some pretty awesome songs on this, even though he calls it outtakes and extras. They're really cool songs. They aren't necessarily as tied together as, say, Illinois is, but it's still a really, really good disc, and it's the only Sufjan disc that I have right now, and so I feel very close to it. Now, the last few here, I've got some from the distant past that I either got before I had I had digital download options, or well, yeah, all CDs that I had before I had digital download options, but I still feel that they're part of like a kind of personal collection for me. One of them is Five Iron Frenzy's The End Is Near, which it was bittersweet because I saw them for the first time on a farewell tour and got really into them, and then the band was broken up and I was sad. But 2 months ago, they decided that they were going to get back together after 8 years, raised almost $200,000 on Kickstarter for a new album, and are now touring and making more music, which I'm very excited about. But this album was way back in 2003 in Salt Lake City, Utah, when they were doing their farewell tour with their album, The End Is Near. So, it's very exciting. I do actually have it signed as well, which is always a plus if you get an album at a concert. So, that as well makes it very near and dear to my heart. Another one that I didn't get at a concert was Switchfoot Nothing to Sound, this is like one of my favorite albums of all time, and one of the like most influential albums kind of my style and my music and all that stuff. So it's also very near and dear to my heart, even though it has a really weird form of DRM on it, which they discontinued after Sony put on, and then Sony discontinued after a few months when there was super major issues with it. And then the last album that I have here is OK Computer, which this actually is my dad's, but I have swiped it and have it in my room here because I discovered it 2 months ago and it came out over 10 years ago, but it's still a really, really cool album, and it's like one of my favorites now. So, that comes the final album and my new album suggestion, which is David Crowder Band, Give Us Rest. Now, you may be looking at this and going, that doesn't look like anything like their new album, and that's because you are probably thinking of the cover that you see online, which I can't find now. Well, there's a cover that's online that you see everywhere, and it's actually one of several options because they made all of the pages of the album booklet perforated so you could tear them out, use all this different artwork in combination with these filters that they put in there to make your own album cover, which is pretty sweet, and I decided to go with the Crowder head with the atom. That was my favorite one. But the other thing with this album was it's the last album of the band, and it's pretty ambitious double disc concept album that's just sounds really good, and so I was really excited to have it, and again waited to pick it up until I could get it in physical form. So that's my list. These are my albums in my personal collection, and I'm wondering if you have the same connotation feelings with physical discs that I do. So let me know. Curious. Until next time, I hope that you all have awesome days, nights, weekdays, weekends, and everything in between. And this is Jacke Karashae saying, well, see, I was going to say goodnight, but it could be the daytime, so see you later.